Tyranny is a new PC role-playing game from Obsidian Entertainment, the makers of Pillars of Eternity and Neverwinter Nights 2. Heck, it's hard to find a developer as experienced with RPGs as Obsidian.
Yeah, and we're used to most RPGs being the usual hero's journey, where you're thrust into some sort of conflict, you develop powers, and then save the day. Tyranny, however, is a little different.
Yes, it's time to embrace your dark side.
All who stood against them fell before their might.
We can't allow your foolish decision to destroy us all! You would dare harm me?
As the defeated are given a simple choice: serve or die.
Whether your acts are favorable or heinous, it falls to you to bring greatness to this campaign.
The world of Tyranny is a place where the battle for good and evil is over. And hey, guess what? Evil won. Everyone bows to the laws of the mysterious overlord Kairos, who is unseen but universally feared. You play one of his Fatebinders, an enforcer of the laws of the land, who has been tasked with bringing the remaining tiers under Kairos' rule.
For the glory of Kairos!
Fatebinder, you're here at last.
But how you exert that power is left up to you. Are you a cruel and violent law enforcer, or do you prefer to manipulate and deceive to get what you want?
You are playing a dangerous game, Binder. If you wish to hold a venomous serpent so close, I will allow you your own self-destruction.
I found it really interesting the way this game lets you explore being the bad guy.
Yeah, me too. And it's really refreshing because none of it is obvious.
In the early days of 428, Kairos' armies...
The game actually starts with a really clever prologue called Conquest, a bit like a choose-your-own-adventure that is purely about making tough decisions. It's such a cool idea, the way that it fleshes out a backstory for your character and then lets you create a reputation and take that into the game.
Yeah, and you pretty quickly have to start choosing sides between the different factions that exist under the Overlord's rule. Like the solemn soldiers of the disfavored, or the feisty warriors of the Scarlet Chorus who are constantly at each other's throats.
For some strange reason, we can't seem to recall which balding halfwit grossly underestimated the enemy. Thoughts?
Incompetent or in cahoots, either way, this mess has your filthy stink all over it.
And of course, instead of taking sides, you could always try to be the ultimate bad guy and play them off against each other.
That's far enough, Fatebinder.
These Obsidian RPGs are always so well written, Barjo. There is a lot of reading to be done. I mean, so much dialogue.
Tell me though, with the edict looming over, let us speak of Ascension Hall. Silence.
But it makes it feel so fleshed out, and you can go as deep into the lore as you want to.
And there is a lot of lore, like any fantasy game like this. There's so much to remember, so many names and places, it's very easy to forget it. But this game does something incredible and simple to help you. All you have to do is hover your mouse over certain parts of the dialogue to be reminded of who someone is or what they're referring to.
Yourselves. Bled and Mark will see to your fate.
This is such a good idea, especially with a game that's as dense as this. And the next time I play a game like this, which doesn't have this feature, I'm gonna be sad here.
Yeah, me too. But once you start building your party, you want to have lots of chats with your companions to learn more about them and start figuring out who you want at your side as you enforce the law of Kairos. I thought there was some pretty twisted stuff in there. Like the disfavored soldier Barak, who is fused inside his armor and fears his body is rotting or that he's already dead.
We will not be separated. When the war is over, perhaps Tunon will lend me one of his forge bound. Until then, here I remain.
Gross.
Yeah, they've written some great characters here. Barak's story is pretty depressing. And he's contrast against his spirited sister, Verse,
Try and catch me, worm.
who belongs to the Scarlet Chorus, who are mystical and violent. And you can figure out how to increase your loyalty with each of these companions, or just make them outright fear you. Both of which can lead to some really cool companion combos in the combat.
Ah, it's great combat, isn't it? Just like in Pillars of Eternity, this is a real-time combat system that can be paused at any time, allowing you to micromanage the actions of your party as much as you want.
Good work.
Or you can just let them autopilot on a preset AI behavior.
Your days end here.
it's all about choosing who to target and then juggling those cooldowns on your abilities. Deciding when to cast a buff, heal, or use those special companion moves.
You ready for this? I'll tear your skeleton out by your ass!
Yeah, and I'd sometimes forget to use those. The game's already got some great spells, which you can customize yourself with the sort of rune system. Those companion combos are really useful, like that magical rain of swords you can conjure with Barrack.
Good work!
I used his taunting combo a lot because he's such a good tank. I also had the Beast Woman Kills in Shadow in my party.
We'll kill. We'll rip throat out.
And I really liked using her combo, a dashing pounce move. I found that a nice way of initiating combat to get a good first hit in.
We'll slaughter.
Yeah, I always had the Scholar Lantry in my party as a healer because he's got some great buffs, but it's really difficult trying to decide who to have in your party because they're all pretty versatile. This character system lets anyone learn spells or become proficient in a weapon type, so you can really tailor a party to be how you want. I'd often make my companion choices based on their personality.
Yeah. Tyranny is a more linear RPG compared to something like Pillars of Eternity, and I think that's on purpose to make it more replayable, you know, so you'll go back and try different party combos or story threads. It's definitely more a concise story, and even the map locations you adventure to are smaller and more confined, with less to click on.
Yeah, you're never traipsing across big open countryside. The maps pretty much plonk you straight into an encampment or at the entrance to a dungeon.
Found something.
But I liked it being more focused that way.
It also means there's less NPCs to click through. There are a couple of side missions, but they all feed back into that main quest line. You certainly don't end up with a huge shopping list of sub-quests. There's no fetching trinkets for villagers or anything like that, but I kind of like that stuff, Hex.
Yeah, I mean, I think in this case I was pretty happy it wasn't there. Every time I start a new RPG like this, I get that sense of anxiety over the enormity of the task ahead.
I'm going down!
Relearning how that combat works, for example, took a bit of work. I died a lot getting a handle of things like disengagement penalties for moving away from an enemy. This is a deep game with deep mechanics, but I think D&D fans will love all the stats that tick over in the combat window.
Bleed out, you little shit!
Oh, I love all that stuff, Hex. I think this kind of game is a bit daunting, you're right, but also it's for a very specific audience of gamers who do like this kind of thing. I'm so glad they exist. This is the sort of meaty, old-school RPG that the PC is so good at. I find it such a delight digging into those menus and wrapping my head around it all. I love learning new systems, Hex.
And we won't spoil the story, but once you begin to learn the secrets of the giant spires that are situated around the map, you get to start upgrading those as home bases of sorts, where you can learn to craft potions or forge rare ancient weapons and armor. This whole game is geared towards giving you the opportunity to roleplay how you want.
Yeah, and I know, Hex, with these kinds of games, you always like to play the uber goodie who saves everyone, so how did you go being the baddie?
Well, I mean, I think what works with this is that there's different shades of grey that you can explore, kind of like in D&D, how there's different kinds of evil, lawful, chaotic, neutral. Tyranny really explores that, so I found there were still ways for me to be merciful, or at least kind of honourable. Honour amongst thieves, Bajo.
Would you like to have a guess on how I played this game?
Like, ultimate jerk?
Total jerk.
The worst?
Yeah. Evil is just a matter of perspective.
Test my patience, Fatebinder.
I was right in there being a total jerk to everyone.
Wait, I beseech you, don't dispose of me just yet.
I incurred a lot of wrath with pretty much everyone in this world.
Be gone, worm.
Oh, you're a petulant turd, you know that?
And I wouldn't have it any other way. This is a very good RPG. It didn't quite grab me the way that Pillars of Eternity did straight away. It took me about 10 hours to click into that enjoyable evil groove with this one, but I had a good time. I'm giving it 3.5 stars.
Yeah, I do think it feels a little bit rushed in parts, like they didn't quite get the development time they wanted, maybe, but if you're a fan of Obsidian's games, you're going to get that quality in the character development and the writing that you'd expect, so I'm giving it 4 stars.